Hello, let's continue with day 5 of the diet. When I woke up this morning, I checked my weight and I found myself to be 183.8. I'm up from zero point 0.4 pounds from yesterday, which was a little bit of a shock to me considering I did a really good job avoiding eating carbs. But then I realized it was probably because I ate a little too much cheese during lunch, and also I snacked a little too much last night when I was watching a documentary with my mom and family friend. I was eating chicharrones, by the way. So, no snacking allowed. Or if snacking is going to be done, have it done 4 hours before going to bed instead of 2 hours before going to bed. As for what I ate yesterday, as that is very important to any diet, obviously, in the morning yesterday I had a sausage egg McMuffin. Although it was a keto one, of course, homemade, and I used the keto bread from Arrow Wheat as the bread instead of that other bread that people like to use with their Egg McMuffins. It got the job done, but overall was fairly bland in terms of the bread. The egg, cheese, and sausage made up for it. When it came time for lunch, I had a very tasty pastrami sandwich, again using the Arrow Wheat bread, which again was a very bland bread, but I did something I really shouldn't have done with it. I put mayonnaise on the bread, and then I thought it would be a great idea to fry the mayonnaise into the bread. I normally do this with a regular bread, so I thought it would be fine with this bread, but it was not. First off, it created this really pungent and unwanted smell that I was not a huge fan of. And the bread itself didn't even taste like it properly absorbed the mayonnaise, which is why I fry mayonnaise on bread to begin with. It gives it a unique flavor, but it's almost as if the bread took all the flavor from the mayonnaise away. So next time I ever do put mayonnaise on this bread, I will not fry it, because at least I can still taste the mayonnaise. And afterwards, our family friend got a pizza, and of course I can't eat the bread on pizza, but I wanted to try the pizza's toppings, such as the pepperoni and the cheese. So I ripped that off of a slice and I ate that, and it was pretty alright, but a little bit on the garlicky side. To be honest though, I really did like the garlicky taste. But of course, there was little flakes of the bread on the pizza, which was a bit much for me, because I'm trying to avoid eating carbs, or not all carbs, but a lot of carbs, I suppose. Limited carbs. But I think that might have been one of the major contributing factors to why I jumped up 0.4 pounds from yesterday. Probably because I had a little too much cheese. From the cheese in the morning on the homemade Egg McMuffin, keto edition, the cheese on the pastrami sandwich, and the cheese from the pizza. So too much fat, I need to cut down on the fat and have it equally protein and fat and less carbs. Unless of course there are complex carbohydrates like salads. Now we reach to the end of the day. It is dinner time at this time, and my mom is having a meeting with her friends. So I decided to make my own meal. I actually stopped by the store a little earlier after getting off of work because I wanted to try these um, Fiber One protein bars that said they were keto friendly. Uh, I did not like them at all. I thought they were a bit bland and just too chewy and too grainy at the same time, or gritty, I guess. It was just not great. It was strawberry cream flavored, but I don't know. It was probably something I really shouldn't have eaten. But now I've got four more bars left, and I paid $5 for that bag or box. So I mean, now I have to eat them, I suppose. Otherwise, it's $5 going down the drain. So I suppose I'll just eat these when I need a little more energy, I suppose. But when I got to the nearest store, I picked up quite a few things. I picked up some ultra filtered milk with half the sugar for when I make macchiatos at home, so I can have a keto approved macchiato or low carb approved macchiato. I got a very good uncured hot dogs that don't have any nitrates in them. Instead, they use celery powder. Those were quite good. And I got these Nature's Own keto hot dog buns. And what got me interested in this was because they looked much fluffier than the Arrowwheat hot dog buns. And also, they didn't use any sunflower flour, which I thought was a huge plus. Because, in my opinion, the sunflower flour adds this unwanted additional taste that just doesn't taste appealing at all. But when it's just wheat protein isolate, it's doable. Like, it's not perfect, but it's better than having a winky aftertaste that I suppose the sunflower flour provides. Now, when I got home, I decided to grill those hot dogs up. And I also got some no sugar ketchup. So that would be approved of a low carb diet as well. I grilled those hot dogs. I also tried grilling the buns. Didn't really work too well with the buns. It ended up making them a bit gummier than they really should have. So, reference for next time, never grill the buns, just leave them as is. Kind of got to do that on these types of keto buns, because I notice when you toast them, they end up having a weird winky flavor or bad texture, and you don't want that. I then put my mayonnaise that uses avocado oil from Primal Kitchen on them, because there's no soybean oil in that. Although I'm pretty sure there might be some kind of unapproved oil in the buns, but it's just a little bit, so it's not that big of a deal. And then I put my grilled hot dogs on. I made 2 of them, by the way. And there's 1 gram of carbs per bun, and also per slice. So I ate like 6 grams of low carb bread's worth by the end of the day. 2 slices for the egg and sausage sandwich, 2 slices for the pastrami sandwich, and 2 buns for the keto hot dogs. I then put mayonnaise, I already said mayonnaise, mustard and ketchup on them, the 0 sugar ketchup, and I had myself some keto approved hot dogs, and they were very good. Sure, the buns were slightly chewier than I would have liked, but other than that, they were pretty passable, I would say, and I would definitely eat them again. Then, this is another thing. I think the other snacking thing was definitely the Fiber One bar, but the one big problem were those chicharrones, hot and spicy flavored, that I ate at the end of the day. while watching a documentary with my family. Those probably weren't a good idea to eat, especially considering chicharrones are mostly just oil and pigskin. Definitely something you don't want to eat when you're about to go to bed. And I've learned that the hard way. So I'm not going to be doing that anymore. Alright, so we've got our diet update out of the way. Now let us continue with our daily update. I actually tried writing some of it out. Not all of it, sadly, but a good portion of it. Just so I could easily remember some of it for when I started recording for this video. I did this last night, by the way, for a half hour before going to sleep. After recording my vlog from last video, I made sure to upload it to my YouTube channel. When I arrived at the upload screen, I realized I needed a title. I thought, well, perhaps a good motivation to keep my diet going was to number the day I was on like I've continued to be doing for the last 3 days. So day 4 of diet it is. But then I realized I talked about more than just my diet, so that meant I needed to put just a little more in there. So I consulted with a chatbot called Grok on what exactly I should do about the title. The first few suggestions were very odd, because Grok wanted to put Egypt in the title, despite me never prompting Egypt into the chatbot. It's like it wanted me to throw out the most attention-grabbing title, even if it was a blatant lie. I had to tell the bot, I'm not going to Egypt. It was just a vlog on how my day went. After this clarification, the bot rewrote the title accordingly to Day 4 Diet, Thrilling Adventures, and a Daily Check-In. This title was more in line with what I was going for, except for the exclamation point at the end, which I deleted because I felt that was a bit much. I then added a description that summarized the day's events using ChatGPT to delete all of the spelling errors from my voice-to-text effort, and I hit the publish button. Now, I could get started on making breakfast. Now I could get started on making breakfast. I decided on making a low-carb egg and sausage McMuffin. We will now continue from where that left off, based solely on memory. Putting that away. All right. So when I went to the kitchen, I noticed all of our kitchen supplies were dirty. So I had to clean it up real fast because I was running on a time limit, much like what I'm running on right now, because I need to be at work at 10, and the time is currently 9:07 a.m. So after cleaning all of that up and cooking up that food and eating it and having the coffee that went along with it that I made, I decided it would be a great time to work on my next video. So I got started on that. The Brain Jam Extra video I've been chipping away at for a while now. But there was a few problems that held me away from making it the best video it could possibly be. One of those big problems was the fact that the video, well, it wasn't playbacking like it should have on my editing program I was using, DaVinci Resolve. Instead of having nice, clear sounding audio to work with, the audio kept on hissing and popping and jumping as I was playing it back like it normal. And this caused it to be very difficult to really listen in and understand what I was saying, so I knew how to edit it down. Pretty much impossible. I thought, well, maybe it's because I sped it up, but Then I thought, well, when I opened the computer, my computer told me it was slowed down because of a bunch of broken registries and all these files that I wasn't using. So I decided to go on a YouTube video to tell me how to clean up my computer. So it told me the exact steps, and I deleted everything I didn't need that was just junk files, so my computer could be a bit more performant. After doing all of that, the video on my DaVinci Resolve editing timeline started to act funky. I'm starting to wonder, did I delete something that messed up how the audio was supposed to sound, or was it just a coincidence? So I tried to extend it back to its original length, and ultimately it did not work out too well. The audio still sounded really muffled and bad. So ultimately, all I'm gonna say is that it was just not a good time at all. I did learn how to delete spaces within my timeline, because when I re-extended all of the clips back to their original length, for whatever reason, there was a lot of spaces in between the clips in the timeline that I didn't want there, and I was worried I was going to have to manually get rid of each space, but luckily there was a space deleter on the program, so I was able to use that, and it worked out quite well. So I needed to go to work afterwards, and work was good. One of my co-working friends asked to see the AI cat generated video that I had worked on, and so I did just that. And the funny thing was, it was in the produce area where all of the other workers who work in produce just so happened to be around, and so they decided to all gather around to see what he looked like riding my cat, and it was pretty funny, and they all thought it was hilarious. So that was cool. I remember even asking one of them if they'd be interested in having me make a cat riding video. They were like, maybe later. Gotta work. So that was pretty funny. Other than that, I can't really think of anything that interesting. Other than I was given the job to do closing duties, but I was only given one closing duty, and it was one that I didn't really need to do because we didn't have the receipt tape to do it. So I basically just tried to spread the receipt tape that was in the check stands across each of the check stands, but it really wasn't a whole lot. So I don't know, if they want us to do receipt tape, we need the receipt tape. I remember first hour was spent bagging, second hour was spent doing lot, and the next 2 hours was spent, what were the next 2 hours spent doing? Sweeps. Punching out for lunch, going home. That's when the pizza was tempting me, but I had to say no thank you, and continued my way making the pastrami sandwich. After making the pastrami sandwich and eating it, I remember making a cup of coffee with the allulose sweetener and almond milk and drinking that, then going back to work. When I got back to work, I think the allulose made me have a need to use the restroom, because I noticed every time, because this morning I drank the coffee with the allulose again, and that made me need to use the restroom as well. So maybe the allulose is giving me the runs, probably. Sorry for being explicit, but, that's reality sometimes. But anyways, first hour, or the first 2 hours of the last half of the shift was spent doing front end work and also go backs. And the last 2 hours was spent doing sweeps. Sweep the produce, sweep. Wait a minute. No. The third hour was spent doing sweeps, and the last hour was spent doing lot. Although I wasn't able to do lot, I had to be out in the front end for like a good 20 to 30 minutes because it usually gets crazy around like 7 o'clock. But I was able to do lot, and I got that done real quick. Now, after doing that, I decided to pick up that filtered milk and also those Fiber One protein bars, cookies and cream flavored, just to see if they were any good. They weren't great. I'm definitely not getting those again. I feel a little ripped off, not gonna lie. Drove home before stopping by at another store to pick up other supplies that wasn't at the store I was shopping at or work at, including uncured hot dog buns, although they might be there, I just didn't look. But also keto buns, keto hot dog buns, and zero sugar ketchup in a nice big jar. So I would be getting my money's worth. I drove back home. I made my dinner. Then, as I was eating my dinner, I was watching a guy try to investigate the most believable UFO cases. I only got about 9 minutes in. He was covering the Betty and Barney Hill case. And one of the more compelling pieces of evidence of the Betty and Barney Hill case was that Betty apparently was no astrologist and didn't really understand planets, but when she made her interpretation of what she thought the stars were that were shown to her by the supposed extraterrestrials, apparently the star map that she drew out that was apparently shown to her was pretty much very similar to the star map shown in real life on like a real star map, like kind of paralleling, I think, Zeta Reticuli maybe, but I don't know for sure. But I thought that was a fairly compelling piece of evidence. Then it was jumping onto another case, but I didn't have time to watch that one because my mom wanted me to finish this documentary with her about a woman, I think, called Elizabeth Smart or something like that. But yeah, we finished that. She was able to finally have her horror end by, well, it was basically an investigation where her family had the daughter that was with her, Elizabeth Smart. I might be getting the name wrong. I'll just call her Miss Smart so I, don't mess it up. But apparently her sister saw the guy and remembered hearing the name being Emmanuel, and that was enough to give them a lead where the host of America's Most Wanted was able to announce the guy's name on the media. And the guy, when he was kidnapping the lady, wanted to move away from Salt Lake, I believe, if I'm remembering, and she wanted him to go back to Salt Lake. So she basically convinced him by playing the same tricks he played on her in terms of like saying basically using Christianity and God as a means of getting what she wanted, which is what he was doing. He was using that as a way of getting what he wanted and pretending like he was being all righteous and religious when really he was just using it to be selfish and disgusting and evil. So they went back because he thought, oh, she's on my side now, but really she was doing it in hopes that she would get closer to her hometown so someone would notice them and save her from this horror show. And someone did notice, and they stopped him, and she was brought back to safety. And ever since then, she's had little meetings and conversations about this whole ordeal, and she's given people who have been kidnapped or abused by evil people the strength to deal with their captors and their problems. And she's essentially been a very big inspiration for a lot of people. So that's really cool to see. And she was very strong and very upright about the whole thing. Like, you could tell she had a really strong family unit, because she just, anyone in any other situation would have been broken by all of that, but she managed to have a lot of fortitude and ability to withstand all of that which was being thrown at her. So that was pretty cool to see. Yeah. And as I was watching that, I was eating the chicharrones with a Coke Zero. Oh, and I forgot to mention I also had a Coke Zero with the hot dogs and another Coke Zero with the pastrami sandwich. Probably drinking too much Coke Zero. Maybe I should only stick to one a day. And then after that, I decided to write that intro for half an hour before taking my vitamins, brushing my teeth, using mouthwash, and then setting my alarm for 7:30 a.m. and then going to bed. And that's pretty much my day. Well, then I woke up today. I had a nice breakfast with my mom. We had a omelet with sauteed and steamed vegetables. It was very good. And a little cheese on the omelet. And I made us macchiatos with that 50% less sugar milk, which, when it's small and then ballooned up with bubbles, it's probably a whole lot less sugar than it should be, which means I think I'm in the clear. And I sweetened it with allulose, which again gave me some problems this morning. Maybe I should stop drinking so much of it or use a lot less of it. Then I recorded this video. After I'm done recording this, I will go clean the pool vacuum, get dressed for work, and get going. So thank you for listening to this one. I will see you in the next one, and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye, everybody, and take care.